Greetings from South Korea. I am Arirang News AI anchor. Here is the news-making headlines today. The cabinet on Tuesday approved a bill to amend the Criminal Procedure Act, which strips prosecutors of their direct investigative powers. Speaking at a cabinet meeting on Tuesday, President Lee Jae-myung argued that prosecutors have long exercised excessive authority, from investigations to indictments, allowing them in some cases to cover up wrongdoing or unfairly target individuals. At the same time, Lee acknowledged growing concerns over concentrating investigative powers in the hands of the police, saying follow-up measures would be needed. The amendment, which takes effect from October 2nd, would leave prosecutors with the authority to decide whether to file charges based on evidence gathered by police or other investigative agencies. They would only be able to request additional investigations when deemed necessary. Amid the severe heatwave sweeping South Korea, President Lee Jae-myung, presiding over the cabinet meeting held at the Blue House on Tuesday, called for an immediate all-out response from across ministries and agencies. President Lee urged the Climate Ministry and others to regard the ongoing extreme heatwave as the equivalent to a national disaster and to mobilize all available resources to keep the public safe. Officials were encouraged to implement safety measures for workers in harsh working conditions, look into financial support for severely affected areas, and secure emergency energy supplies amid rising demand. Consumer price inflation has dropped back to the 2% range for the first time in 3 months. According to the Ministry of Data and Statistics on Tuesday, the Consumer Price Index, which had stayed in the 3% range in May and June, slowed to 2.8% year-on-year in July. Petroleum product prices rose 15.5% last month, cooling down from a nearly 25% increase in June. Officials said that this slowing down was driven by falling global oil prices and the government's continued implementation of the oil price cap policy. U.S. President Donald Trump, speaking at the Oval Office on Monday, said that talks with Iran are underway and warned that Iran would have to come to its senses to grab one last chance to strike a deal before decapitation. Trump added that the first phase of negotiations will be on opening the Strait of Hormuz, which will be followed by addressing U.S. concerns over Iran's nuclear program. This comes after Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesperson Ismail Baghai said at a briefing Monday local time that it was not negotiating with the U.S. and had no plans to do so. Instead, he added that Iran and Oman were negotiating an agreement on a safe transit route for vessels passing through the Strait of Hormuz. Russian officials say a Ukrainian drone came down on a crowded beach on the Black Sea coast, killing 7 people. 3 of them were children. The drone hit near the village of Archipo-Osipovka on Sunday at the height of the holiday season. It dropped toward the shoreline before erupting into a fireball. As well as the 7 deaths, 40 people were hurt, and 17 of those were hospitalized. Krasnodar's governor called it a deliberate strike on civilians. Ukraine has not responded. Both sides deny they target civilians, and it is not yet clear what the drone was aiming at. That is all from me today. Thank you for watching.